from HSTV, and in today's video, as you can see by the video title, I'm going to be telling you guys a bit about my journey on how I got into Edinburgh Medical School. So if you're new to the channel and you don't know who I am, my name is Heen. I'm a fourth year medical student here at Edinburgh. And yeah, I'm gonna assume that you guys already know how the basic application process works, as in grades, UCAT, personal statement and interviews, because this video is not really gonna be about the process. It's more about my experience and specific things about Edinburgh that I think you guys who might be considering applying to Edinburgh might find useful. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to come up here and say is that I'm not going to be revealing my grades or my UCAT score, and the reason for that is because entry requirements change year to year. Your cohort will be different to my cohort, and I was a 2020 applicant, and back then the standard entry requirements were 4 A's and a B, or 3 A's and 2 B's if you're widening participation, and if you had a UCAT score, there was not really a cutoff for that. Now I just checked the entry requirements for 2024 entry today. The standard entry requirements are 5 A's, widening participation is 4 A's and a B. This is obviously talking about Scottish hires, I should clarify, and also the UCAT cutoff score is 2,400 and something. The one thing that's not changed since my year is that they're not considering anyone who gets a band 4 in SGT. I was super over the moon because I got a band 1, and yeah, that was, I think, hopefully something that set me apart as well and got me some extra points when they were ranking. So yeah, I don't think it matters too much what grades I got or what grades you've got, as long as you are meeting the standard entry requirements or the widening participation. If you fall into that category, definitely do check that, by the way. You'll be fine. I think there's a misconception around Edinburgh admissions. Maybe back in the day this was true, but certainly from my cohort I think it has changed. Edinburgh doesn't only pick very academically excellent people. Of course, you have to prove that you have the ability to study a medicine degree because it's very tough, but also that's not going to make you a great doctor. You know, you can't just be a walking textbook, you know. So with the introduction of interviews from our cohort, I think that this is going to change for Edinburgh, and as long as you meet the minimum entry requirements, or the standard entry requirements, whatever you want to call it, you're fine, and go ahead and apply. Of course, tactfully, but don't worry about, you know, specific bands or anything like that when it comes to your grades, at least. Also, just a very side point, I know lots of people who didn't get 5 A's and they got into medicine and they're going to be brilliant doctors, so please don't put yourself down if you didn't get 5 A's. Still apply, because there's always a chance you'll get in. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is my personal statement. So my personal statement, I was pretty happy with it. I started it off with an analogy, just to try and grab the reader's attention. I was really glad that I could work with my referee as well. And anything that I couldn't really include in my personal statement, I was able to ask them to include in my reference. So that's definitely a tack that you could use as well. Yeah, I think with personal statements, the one thing I would say is you don't need to say anything about your academics in there, because you know they're already going to see your grades and your UCAT and things. So try to talk more about your extracurriculars, your work experience, your volunteering work, that sort of thing, and always reflect. The way that I would say is best to reflect, of course you could go check out my personal statement course, but reflecting is all about linking what you've done. So you've got a situation, you're going to link it to medicine, and then really talk about what you've learned from that and the attributes of a doctor that it will help you develop. That's the best way to reflect for a medicine personal statement, and that's what I personally did as well. Of course, there's no way for me to see the marking on my personal statement, but from what I gathered, keep it to the main best things that you've done. Don't list things, because I remember when it came to writing my statement, I had a lot of stuff that I'd done, and obviously I was making a whole record of it, but in the end I just had to pick my best few examples and then roll with them. And of course, when it came to interviews, which I'll talk about in a minute anyway, you have that opportunity to open up more about, you know, things happening in your life. So yeah, that's what I would say about personal statements. Okay, and then it came to interview time. So I got interviews from all of my places that I'd applied. I only applied in Scotland, and yeah, it was like pretty over the moon, you know, obviously to get interviews, but also I think it was like a lot of pressure going into each one. I think Edinburgh was my second interview, my Dundee interview was first, so at least I got some experience with them, because Dundee and Edinburgh, they have varying styles of interviewing. Dundee is very MMI based. They're also very experienced interviewers because they've been doing it for a long time, whereas with Edinburgh, we were the first cohort to experience this interview, and I have to say Edinburgh's interview is really unique. I'm not sure how they're doing it at the moment, but back in the day, well, not really back in the day, this was only like 3 years ago, but 3 years ago they used to have 3 stations and then a group work station, so 4 in total, and it was like about 3 hours in total. And yeah, you know, as expected, it went really fast, but also Edinburgh interviewers were super friendly. So I think the questions that they asked, they were pretty classical questions. It wasn't anything, you know, out of the blue. I think their group workstation, that's a really interesting thing that I've not seen at any other medical school interview. I think it's really unique, but also I think it's really good what they're doing, because medicine is a lot about teamwork. So you don't want people who are just sitting doing nothing, but you also don't want really dominating people who are just taking over the entire task. So yeah, this was definitely the most nerve-wracking station, I would say, because you've got people watching you as you do a group task. And yeah, I think it went pretty well. Just make sure that you're not like highlighting yourself as the really quiet one or the really loud one, as long as you're sort of just working with the flow of everyone and no one's getting left out. I think that's indication of good teamwork in my eyes anyway. I think with interviews as well, I really can't stress this enough, but just be yourself. A lot of people think that their life is boring, they don't have hobbies, or they don't do anything interesting or something related to medicine. Trust me, you do. Literally every single thing can be linked to medicine, because medicine is so vast. There's just like every skill you name, you're gonna need it in medicine, right? So any hobby you do, most likely you can link it to medicine. So do that in your interviews if you can. Of course, if they're asking you about your free time, they also don't want to see that you're like totally just medicine everywhere. Like they want to see you have a life outside medicine as well. So talk about how you de-stress, talk about what you do in your free time, and yeah, like they just want to see who you are as a person. And just remember one thing, I think this is something that helped me get through this whole medicine application process, because it's so stressful. When your patients walk in through the door, they're not going to see you as numbers. They're not going to know what you got in higher biology. They're not going to know what band you got in your SJT UCAT, right? What they're going to see is you as a person. It's going to be your communication skills, your empathy, and the way you portray yourself that's going to come forward. And I want you to treat your interview like that. That's kind of the mindset I went in with. So yeah, just remember that you are a lot more than just numbers, and yeah, just take the interview really to show yourself, because remember, before that you are just numbers on a database. So really take that interview seriously and really show what a great person you are. So yeah, if you want like a rough timeline of how I did things, so I obviously sat my hires, so I was at the Scottish system, so I did my hires in like May, June of 2019, and then I did my UCAT. So my UCAT, actually, it's one of those things, right? When you book your UCAT, you're just never sure, like, because you always have that option of moving it forward. So I think I did move it forward once. I moved it from August to September, but I got it done in early September. So I would recommend try and get it done in the summer if you can, or get it as soon as possible after results day, because yeah, it shouldn't be something that you're putting a lot of time and effort to once school starts. So you have to sort of time it like that. But yeah, I did my UCAT in September. I tried to write some of my personal statement in the summer holidays, but really, I won't lie to you, I wish I'd done more in my summer holidays working on my personal statement, because I felt like school started and then I had UCAT prep, but also trying to finalize my personal statement. So yeah, maybe time it a little bit better than me. But when you've got your personal statement, something else that I wish I'd done is gotten lots of people to read it. I was never really that social with anyone, so I didn't really know a lot of medical students or any doctors either. But if you have contacts and people that you know in the field, get them to read your personal statement. Of course, listen to everyone and then do what you think is right, because if you just take everyone's advice and then start changing everything, then it's going to become a mess, right? So yeah, of course, by all means, get your friends to read it, get your teachers to read it. Doctors, medical students, people in the field especially are really helpful for this. And yeah, then you can like make changes accordingly, and yeah, leave plenty of time, because honestly school will start and October the 15th, I hope that's still the deadline, is gonna come very quickly. So yeah, personal statement, UCAT, and then yeah, once I got my application in, my Edinburgh interview was in December, so I was one of the earlier interviews. I know interviews go into February even as well. And yeah, then I got my offer in February, like the first week of February. So that's just my personal timeline. That doesn't mean that that's going to be your timeline. So this is why I'm always a bit hesitant sharing details of my journey, because then people are like, oh, I haven't got my offer yet and it's already like late February and I might get rejected. It's not like that at all. They do it in batches. They send out interviews in batches. They send out offers in batches. So it is totally random, and please don't worry. Alright everybody, well that is going to be the end of this video. I hope that this has been useful, and I just want to wish everybody who is applying to medicine this year a big good luck. I know we are through August now, and yeah, it's just September, and then October all your applications will be gone. So these next few weeks are going to go really fast, but if there's anything that I can do to help you, please message me either, you know, in the comments. My email is also in the description. You can also go ahead and follow the HSTV Instagram at HSTV Official. You can DM me on there. I also offer courses for UCAT, personal statement, and interviews. Please do go check them out and see if I can help you anywhere. And yeah, I will see you in my next video. Goodbye.